Hello, everybody. This is Rita Hernandez with Inspiration for Life Radio TV Web Network, live on air with Rita, broadcasting live here at Inspiration for Life Studios, live on air. And we have art by Blas and Rita, styling with J. Marie Boutique, and a little bit of other great vendors and businesses here in the house. But this is a surprise interview that I am so excited to bring to you. The awesome, talented, amazing Jessie Borrego. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, sweetie? Good to see you.
Familia right
Pura.
here.
Pura
Familia. Yes, I'm just really excited. I know we've been trying to do this for the past couple of months, get us together, but I know you're so busy. You're so busy.
I mean, thank Creator that I'm very busy, and it keeps me in the good red road.
Yes, yes.
So the busier that I can get, and right now, a lot of the business has to do with helping people out. Trying to inspire people,
Yes.
right? So that's one of the things that I wanted to do, is to come over here and talk to you because of the messaging
Yes.
that's so important right now. We have to keep living. We have to keep honoring the harvest, and honoring those people that we've had to let go during these dark times. But the sun will always come out. The world turns around. It's all part of life and creation.
Yes.
So I think a lot of my busyness has to do with that, with keeping that messaging going. Sometimes I wake up, and sometimes I go to bed at night, and I'm like, okay, I'm so tired. At 59, I've done my shows, I've done my dances, and sung my songs.
You like you're 49. How about that?
Pero todavía nos necesita la comunidad.
Yes.
So for me, that need and that ability to inspire people, to keep protecting our each other, and that's the main thing, right? If we can honor our ancestors and honor our padrecitos and padrecitas that are still here, madrecitas, and so I think with all of that, it's important that we share this type of dialogue, in time.
Yes, and on that note of being inspired, I thank you so much for always being there and in believing in Inspiration for Life from day one, because we go back about 20 years.
Oh yeah.
He knows my husband Blas Hernandez, which is a local artist here, local artist of San Antonio. They kind of grew up together.
Yeah, I mean, I back then I didn't know he was an artist. It wasn't until in later years, with the success of Blood In Blood Out, and the fact that Cruz Candelaria. Again, the beautiful paintings by Adan Hernandez, which created another relationship.
Yes.
But when they talked to me about the art and the being an artist in that film, and the fact that I was faking it to make it, right? Remember that, kids? When you see actors doing things in the movie, they're faking it. So anyway, but that being said, I grew up in La Cultura. My father, Jesse Borrego, was a conjunto musician, and that's another connection, because that was Blas's father-in-law.
Yes.
And so, Sonia was very dear to us, and their family and their kids. And so, his dad, we called him Mangueras, because that's the only way we knew him. But Mangueras was one of my dad's musicians back in the conjunto days. And so we kept that connection, and it's like kids. So years later, with me and Blas working together at Rosario's, which was my first, that's how I raised money to go to acting school.
Yes.
And so we kept that connection. So years later, Blas shows up at a couple of the events. I was one of the original groups that started the First Friday movement, because I knew all these artists, not only Chicano artists, but cutting edge indie artists and contemporary artists that had no place to show. And there's still a big gap between what's considered museum and gallery art, and thank God we have First Friday and Second Saturday now. And so I think Southtown, that was the birth of Southtown as the place to go for arte and cutting edge art. And I think Blas got inspired by all of that, and so his true talents came out. So I'm so happy to see him still being a prolific, giving artist, and that's what it's all about. Arte es vida.
You're exactly right. And it's so funny how when we first met, I think we're going to 21 years now. It's just amazing story. But when I first met him as a local artist, I was very impressed with his art, and just truly blessed, to saying, wow, he's such a part of all these great businesses here in Southtown, and I can go back in time and he could be like, no, this was here. No, this was here. Man, I remember the stories he has and the stories he has about you. They're really, really inspiring. And he ended up taking out that hidden talent that I didn't even know I had. I haven't painted in 17 years. I take that back. I haven't painted since Jasmine's been born. And now that I have a 2-year-old, más menos. I don't even have enough time.
Keep that expression. Yeah. But you see, what you're doing right here, I was so impressed when I walked in. The studio that you have set up here, I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. She's doing her own broadcasting. Yes. So to me, that's art. And that's what I just did a plática at Our Lady of the Lake for the Ruben M. and Veronica Salazar Escobedo School of Theater and Mass Communication.
Awesome. Okay.
So the first thing I told these, I call them kids, but they're young adults, right? I told them, I said, look, you're starting off as a professional, but always be a student of the game.
Exactly.
Always be willing to do what you just did here and reinvent the wheel and keep, again, finding new ways to share this energy, that this type of uplifting energy. So I think what you're doing here is perfect. So now this is your little painting right here, man. This is your art.
This is my canvas right here.
Por eso les digo, I may not know how to paint, but the creation of Crucito as the character, the taking of Adan's art, the taking of Jimmy Santiago Baca's script, all of that is my art.
Yeah, and the screen is your canvas.
That's my canvas.
That's your canvas.
The theater too, the stage.
Yes.
Don't forget the stage.
Oh, he's amazing. And I know before we get into the bigger events that we're going to talk about, this is what I love about talking with Jesse. He's like familia.
Hey,
and
I'm like Blas. We've always got stories.
We have stories, and of course, some of them are like, we won't put it on here.
That story we can't tell.
We even send some of his friends away because they're like, okay, we got to keep it PG. So, but Jesse's an amazing person, and we actually look. My ears are burning. We actually did a film together. I was part of that
Gino's
film.
wife.
Yes, Gino's wife.
Local, and but I've always tried to support local art because I believe that the river runs through it. Our river of cultura runs through San Antonio, and so you have all of these different influences that have created who we are, right? Yeah. I carry that within me. So it was always important, shortly after becoming a television star on the TV show Fame, I came right back to San Antonio and I started doing music with my father, Jesse Borrego. Yes. Roger Velasquez, who I went to high school with.
Yes.
And we created Los Muertos with my family, my brother, my sister, our classmates, the Leal brothers. These were all my classmates at Harlandale, and they were all accomplished musicians. They were all in the Tejano scene. So I got them together, and we started doing our knockoff of Los Lobos, Los Muertos. Yes. And years later, that collaboration has been fruitful. I just directed, now that I'm getting older, I'm getting more into producing and directing. I just directed a music video for me and Roger Velasquez.
That's
are
awesome.
Up for an award for Best Collaboration at the Tejano Awards. Amor del Otro Lado. So if you guys get a chance, go on YouTube.
Yes. Okay. So I was going to say, how can they get on there and vote for you?
Right. Well, I think the voting is closed. The public voting, the last of the public voting was yesterday. But I think if you go to V Discos, which is Roger Velasquez and run by his beautiful wife, Teresa Velasquez. If you go there, there'll be a connection. If you can keep voting, I think all the votes help. But I think that the votes have already come in. It's incredible how the Tejano scene is still alive, how there's new up-and-coming artists, how there's classic artists like Patsy Torres and people like that still doing it. And so it's kind of good. And Roger's kind of made, he was singing with the Latin Breed in the 90s. Yes. So he stayed in the Tejano scene, became a very prolific writer, an incredible artist on his own. But Roger Velasquez wrote Mal Hombre. Because at that time we had our band. When I was doing Blood In, Blood Out, there was this scene where I'm crying at Juanito's grave. Yeah. And Roger had, he was always playing me his music. And he would, listen to this song. And I said, bro, I love that song.
That's a good insight.
Can I use it on Blood In, Blood Out? And he goes, you think they'll let you? Go, brother,
You're like,
you know who you're talking to,
you not
man?
know who he is, y'all.
This is Jesse Borrego, yeah.
That's right.
And at
that's
that
right.
time, Benjamin Bratt, I mean, a lot of the people that were in that film in the early 90s, their careers hadn't
Yeah.
taken off. So I was the star on
Ooh,
that set,
there
right?
you go,
Oh,
there you
yeah,
go.
you were on stage with Janet Jackson. Orale, this is Jesse Borrego from Fame, right? So I walked up to Taylor, and Taylor leaned on me heavily, Taylor Hackford, who produced La Bamba,
Okay.
but also is an incredible director. He won an Academy Award for Officer and a Gentleman. You know, he directed Against All Odds, Dolores Claiborne, Ray, the movie Ray with
Okay.
Jamie Foxx about Ray Charles.
Yes.
So Taylor is an incredible director.
Wow.
So Taylor had come to me and said, "Hey, you know, you need to be in this film, Blood In, Blood Out." I said, "I want to play the artist, right?" So he leaned on me heavily because I was the Chicano of the group. Between me, Jimmy Santiago Baca, and then once I said, "Okay, I'm an artist, so who's doing the art?" He goes, "Well, it's a guy from your hometown, Adan Hernandez. He's from the West Side."
Yeah.
No, hombre, same thing, familia. The minute
There
me
you
and Adan
go,
met, and I think
yeah.
we met at Salute. Remember
Oh, there you go.
Salute on
Yes,
St. Mary's?
yes, all the musicians.
Yes, all the musicians
Yes.
would play at Salute
Yes.
back in the day. Esteban Jordan.
Oh my!
you
Don't
know.
even. Okay, if Blas were here with you,
Asna,
man,
yes.
y'all would just.
But
keep
Asna
going.
loved my father, Jesse Borrego, so
Mm-hmm.
she was always inviting us, you know, and so we would always meet at Salute
Yeah.
for our meetings, right? So I met Adan there, and I think even Jesse Trevino was there that night.
Oh my gosh.
Who's another heavy Chicano hitter artist.
yes.
So there were all the artists were there, but that was what I'm talking about. We all hung out
Yes.
together. So to me, you know, to support First Friday, to create Southtown, to help in the ambiance of this fertile soil for artists to express themselves, that was always part of what I wanted to do when I would come back to San Antonio, you know. So all of that comes back full circle. So like I said, Roger is still making music, and he actually wound up recording, we wound up recording Mal
Yes.
Hombre with a mariachi
Yes.
arrangement on his Loteria CD.
Okay.
So after that, Roger kind of said, you know, pretty much every CD he would have me do something on, and we've been lucky. We've been nominated a few times. I think he won a Latin Grammy last year.
Okay.
So he actually got a Latin Grammy last year. But I think we did a collaboration last CD called Bandera de Texas.
Okay.
Very inspirational song. But I've been happy to record with them. And then this one that we did, Amor del Otro Lado, got nominated for Best Collaboration.
Oh,
so he
gosh,
came to me, of
amazing.
course, and he
Yeah.
said, "Hey, we got to do the music video."
Wow.
So I called in Aaron Lee Lopez,
Yes.
the writer-director of Gino's
Gino's
Wife.
So he came. I was like, is
The
this a family
connection
reunion or
comes
what?
full circle. Well, I had just
Oh my gosh.
worked with Aaron Lopez, you know. So Mutt Productions is the name of their production company.
Yes.
But we've worked together on a couple of local collaborations. So it was, you know, we've got that family connection. Hey,
Yes.
what are you doing? We're going to make movies.
I love it.
We're going
I
to
love
make
it.
videos.
The
We're gonna do
beauty and
this.
unity. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like that with a lot of the artists that I know, not only Roger, but, you know, a lot of the Chicano artists. I was doing a lot with promoting Adan Hernandez's art in the last couple of years, you know. Of course, we lost him
Yes.
as part of the harvest, the great harvest. And so it's very tough because we lost a lot of great people.
Yes.
You know, I lost Gabriel Retes, who was a Mexican director. I did Bienvenidos Welcome with him. But they just did a big, the Cultural Mexicano Cinemateca allá in Mexico. They did a big homage to all of his work. And so I was able to do some Zoom stuff with. But a lot of the artists, you know, that we lost, their work is alive and well.
Yeah.
You know, one of the reasons I'm on the show is to promote what's coming up this weekend.
Yes.
Luminaria.
Yes, we're gonna talk about that.
Luminaria Contemporary Arts Festival.
Ooh.
You know, we have this year I was chosen as the ambassador, and I'm the honorary chair
Yes.
of the selection committee.
There
Of
you
course,
go.
I didn't have to do anything for it, porque the selection committee was incredible.
Yeah.
She had some Yadira Lozano, who was our executive director this
Okay.
year. She had a great selection committee, and was very instrumental on bringing together this group that really wanted to showcase San Antonio artists and local Tejano artists and the artists that come from here to celebrate this international festival.
Okay.
And so we've got some great people. But part of that was also paying homage to a lot of the the ancestors of our cultural scene, you know. So we'll be doing an homage to Adan Hernandez.
Yeah.
We'll
That's
actually
amazing.
have the painting that I cut in the film.
Okay.
The death of Juanito, La Muerte de Juanito. The uncut one, I
Wow.
cut a fake. Again, remember kids? I said actors are faking it on camera.
There you go.
So I cut a copy, you know, an incredible copy done by the production designer
Yeah.
there. But, you know, all of that comes full circle.
It
Vida.
does. It really does. And again, this inspiration of putting you through our airwaves. We're on Inspiration for Life Radio, live radio broadcast. So we're in over 147 countries around the world.
Hola,
that
how
people
y'all
tune
doing?
in. So, you know, it's a great opportunity to share there, but also with our viewers on, you know, Facebook. And we're going to put this on IGTV. We're going to put this on YouTube and, you know, podcasts so that we're able to share your inspiration behind everything that you do. You know, being from San Antonio, a lot of people look up to you, Jesse. A lot of people look up to you. My daughter looks up to you as well. Jazzy, you remember Jazzy when she was little? Was she does camera work too, so she's
Hey.
inspired.
Well, as Tio, you know, I try to represent as good as possible, you know,
Yeah.
as well as possible. Being an artist, because as an artist, you have to kind of push the boundaries sometimes.
Yes.
But I like to think that I push the boundaries in the right direction.
Yes.
If I'm going to be provocative, if I'm going to challenge something, an established norm, no matter what it is, for me, it's got to serve the cultura, man. You know, how
Yeah.
can we make it better for the artists
Yes.
that are following in our footsteps, like you said? So if I inspire them, I would hope that I inspire them to be inspirational.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I would inspire them to be inspirational. And like I said, with this Plática at Our Lady of the Lake, I saw the young Jesse Borregos, you
Yeah.
know, and the young Rita Hernandez's. So I was like, how can we inspire them and keep them going? So I love to hear that, you know, Jazzy's doing some good stuff.
Yeah.
And it's all about now taking control of all of this new technology. You know, there's been a technological shift, but there's also been a spiritual evolution.
Yes.
You know, this pandemic has brought a lot of what's important back to us.
I agree.
So I think in this digital matrix that's coming, we have to remember that. We have to remember that we're beings of light.
Yeah.
We're organic beings. And so how then do we serve society? Well, why not make it better?
Exactly.
I mean, it's as simple as that. Let's make society better. I know we want to make it prosperous and richer and wealthier, and we talk about, you know, the wealthy nations, and we talk about moving into the 21st century, you know, technologically and going into space, right?
Yes.
But the reality of it is we have to love each other better. We have to
Yeah,
be better at
I
loving
agree.
our planet. I mean, all of that used to be like woo, 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 you know, and I was in California in the 80s
Yeah.
doing the television show Fame. And so, you know, I learned about a lot of the green movement back
Yeah.
then. We raised our daughter, you know, vegan, vegetarian. And a lot of times I was challenged by that in the 90s.
Yeah.
¿Qué estás haciendo? ¿Qué este, que el otro?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, don't talk about that
Nosotros
hippie
comemos
stuff.
carne.
Pero les dije, hey, nosotros somos indios. And if you look at your indigenous roots, you know, I'm a very proud board member of American Indians of Texas, of the Spanish Colonial Missions, AIT. But AIT, more than being a drums and feathers group, is we don't claim our indigenous heritage through the way we act and the way we dress, even though they're very proud regalia wearers, they're dancers, they're singers. But their familias come from the ancestors that were buried at the missions. Those familias that are still in the South Side. I went to high school with some of them at Harlandale and McCullum, you know. So those familias are still there, and even if they have Spanish surnames, y todavía no tienen, no, ya se les olvidó la tradición, we're still of that sangre and of that blood. So when we talk about cultural arts, we sing, we dance, we have our stories. Y en eso la tradición de la indigenidad is eating healthy.
Yes.
Es comiendo de la tierra. Comiendo, you know, there's a great documentary that just came out, Adán Medrano, who was the founder of Cena Festival, which
Okay,
happens at the
okay.
Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center,
Yes,
where I
heard
do a
about
lot
that,
of my
yes,
collaborations. Cena Festival is one of the longest running Latino film festivals in the country. And guess what? It's right here in San Antonio,
Yes.
in the west side.
Right down the street.
Well, one of the founder of that, Adan Medrano, he's become a culinary artist, but he's also still a filmmaker. So he did this great documentary that just aired not only at Cena Festival, but also on KLRN
Okay.
last month. It's called Truly Texas Mexican, right?
I love watching Cameron.
Yes.
They have really
And
good shows.
the gist of it is that our Tex-Mex style, estilo, and flavor
Yeah.
comes from our indigenous roots.
Yeah.
And the mixture of those cultures here. Not only our Latino Hispanic culture, but also the indigenous culture. And that's what's created Tejano. That's what's created San Antonio. And that's why our food is so specific to who we are.
Yeah.
You know, they call it Tex-Mex.
Yes, and then I've also been to one of your favorite places, Hash.
Oh,
So,
yeah, I love it.
yeah.
Yeah. And now again, our young carnales are reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
And you know, curing people with that medicina, you know.
Yeah.
But I talk about it, even that movement, right? The CBD movement and all that.
Yeah.
I tell people, I go, you know, our abuelitos and abuelitas were using CBD a long time ago, right? People look at me like, what? Oh, it wasn't CBD. And I go, I remember my abuelitas and abuelitos siempre usaban ointment, lo tenían atrás, lo usaban con todas las hierbas y era parte de la medicina. And again, that indigenous root, man, right? That curanderismo comes from a spiritual indigenous root. So now we're coming back to all of that, right? So
Yes.
the whole issue of climate change, all of, hey, that stuff our bisabuelos and abuelas told us a long time ago. Tienen que cuidar la tierra. You know, ¿quiénes son los que sufren? Pues la gente de la tierra, los trabajadores, the people that work, you know, the land, you know, and now we're finding that that's such an important part of our society, right? Of that wealth.
Yes.
But we don't consider the wealth gap. We just consider the wealth. And so I think for us, a lot of that, we express all of that as artists. We're the
Yes.
only ones sometimes that give a voice to the voiceless.
Exactly.
And I think arte is so important because it does that. It expresses that. You know, those dialogues begin from those art events. You know,
Yes.
I think Luminaria is going to do the same thing.
I
Luminaria's got some
agree.
very provocative, very skilled artists, and a lot of the dialogues that are going to come from that.
And it's taking place at the Hemisphere and Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center, correct?
Yes.
So that's going to be this Saturday, y'all. Y'all can come on out. It's going to be from 6 p.m. to midnight.
To midnight. I'll be
Yes.
out there. Fine art, theater, live music, film. There's going to be a little film section.
Ooh.
Poetry, installations, digital art. We have a couple of stages. We
Yeah.
have the Tex Maniacs with Flaco Jimenez headlining.
There you go.
We've got Patricia Vaughn on the other stage.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we've got some heavy hitters out there. Beautiful.
Yeah, we have
piece.
somebody here. It says, hope to see you on Saturday. So saludos.
A todos.
There you go. So yes, if y'all can make it out, and we're gonna put the link on there as well. We're gonna put the information on the feed so they can kind of know where.
Yeah.
And of course, we're right across the street from Hemisphere Tower, so I'm gonna park my car here.
There you go.
And walk across the
Órale,
street and
you're
go
right
support.
there.
So
Hey, this is where I'm gonna come park
yes,
too.
you are, sir.
Well, you
And
know, speaking of American Indians of Texas, AIT. So AIT does a lot of great stuff in the South Side with mental health, substance abuse, family counseling, and outreach. And we use traditional indigenous methods of healing to be able to, bring these families together. A lot of, we've got the fatherhood campaign, the Hombres Nobles. So their work comes more about healing the comunidad.
Yeah.
And how do we bring these young fathers to realize that they're very important to the familia? How do we make sure we support these young mothers, these young
Yes.
familias? How do we take care of the kids, make them stronger? Through a lot of our community events, the four markets, the four directions market, Four Seasons markets, the stuff that we do. We'll be at Luminaria,
Yes.
the Coahuiltecan Nation, Tapilam Coahuiltecan Nation,
Okay.
which is the familia that's part of AIT. They're going to do an indigenous blessing.
Oh,
So we're going to
that's
start it off in a good way. Yes, this was something that Yadira really wanted, and so she reached out to them. But then we're also going to have our singing group and our drumming group
Okay.
perform as well. So there's going to be a lot of that, spiritual flavor there, and we're going to kick it off in a good way. But again, that idea of that, Arte es vida. La cultura cura. And so if you've been, if you've got all this stuff that
Yeah.
you're bringing
Ooh.
from these dark times and you want to get out to a beautiful event, it's going
Yeah.
to be a beautiful night out there. The weather's going to be beautiful this weekend. So
It
come
will.
on out. We'll be out there and there's going to be music. It's going to be everything for you. Bring the families. It's a very
Yes.
family-friendly event. Comida, there'll be a food booth there. And so, it's going to be a good event. It's going to be
And
beautiful.
I look for Inspiration for Life Media and broadcasting and magazines. We'll probably go out there and do a couple of live video shots to kind of showcase as well.
Great,
So
great.
I look forward to
Yeah.
being out there and just being able to showcase what's happening. I mean, everything, like I said, that you're doing, being an inspiration. Blessing to Mr. Jesse, yes, Leo Garza. Thank you everybody for all your comments and and supporting. Don't forget to you have a Facebook page. How can they get a hold of you?
Hijo, I haven't been on the Meta in a while. I call it
Yeah,
Meta.
the Meta,
now, right?
yeah.
The Meta. I haven't been on the Meta for a while because, I was using Facebook a lot to promote
Yes.
some of the brands that I was working with. But since I haven't been really doing too much of that, I'm concentrating more on a project that I've got here in town called Tolteca Studios.
Okay.
And so Tolteca Studios, in collaboration with Cena Studio San Antonio, which is my nonprofit that I
Yes.
have with my brother, James Borrego. So a couple of years ago, we identified some of the gaps in the young wannabe filmmakers, creatives of the future, and higher education.
Yeah.
Because, I'm a big higher education proponent.
Yes.
I was at Incarnate Word, and that's where I learned, how to be an actor, right? Then I went to California Institute of the Arts, which is where I was when the FAME auditions came
Yeah.
up. So I really believe that higher education is a safe place
Yes.
for young people, young adults to
agree.
figure out who they are. And
Exactly.
then you come out with a piece of paper. Just like the Wizard of Oz, man. Cuando le dieron el diploma he already knew what he knew, right? He, ¿cómo se llamaba el scarecrow? He
Yeah.
already knew, he was already smart.
Yeah.
He just hadn't realized that.
Yeah.
That's his confidence. So it's a confidence builder. It's a safe
agree.
place to get your legs under you. That's why I really agree with the whole idea of free college education. I mean, I'm sorry that they lost that in the bill because those things are so important.
Yeah,
And
they
I
are.
believe that we should not put our young people and start them off in debt just because
For
they
stress,
want
anxiety,
to be better.
that's-
Yes.
that's,
but
mental
so
health.
so when we saw that gap and we realized that Harlandale Film School, where our friend and buddy George Ozuna had started the film school there 15, 20 years ago, and a lot of maestros kept it going. Harlandale, school district kept it going. Harlandale High School. And so I was very proud of the fact that they
También la
kept
Brack.
it.
Brack's doing
And
the
so
media
now,
film.
so now Michael Cantu, but you're talking about way back when there was none of these. I think
Nothing, yeah.
Edgewood didn't even have
Yeah.
like a film program yet. So the fact that they were able to keep it going, but again, I saw that gap, and so
Yeah.
I told my brother, what are we going to do about this? My brother was a graduate of the UT Film School,
Okay.
but he went back after being in the service, after graduating from the Air Force,
Okay.
and he went to SAC, the RTF program.
Yes.
The maestros there taught him. So after he got his associates from SAC, then he went to UT Film School in Austin and finished up there. And then he was a producer for over 15 years at
Yeah.
UTSA as a senior producer there, where he got his master's. Well, now, full circle, the new dean there, Dr. Robert Vela, wanted to reinvigorate the RTF program.
Yeah.
They'd lost the F. They didn't have
And that
any
was
film.
radio, television, film. For those of you that don't know what RTF stands
RTF.
for, yeah.
Well, it even became RTVB for a while.
yeah.
So they had lost the film
Yeah.
aspect of it. And so they wanted to reinvigorate it. So a couple of years ago, before the pandemic, he was, as an adjunct teacher, he brought back a couple of film classes,
Yeah.
some screenwriting classes, which is the basics, and then production classes, which is the lab stuff. And they did really well. And
Yeah.
again, you saw that bridge.
Yes.
So before that, we had kind of created a nonprofit with the help of the city of San Antonio, and it was called Cena Studio San Antonio.
Yes.
So Cena Studio San Antonio, which has a .org, we were able to help bridge the gap, network, connect some of these students to intern type of programs.
Yes.
And so the nonprofit then became very instrumental in that connection and
Yes.
that gap.
Oh, I
But I
love that.
still
I
saw
love it.
that there was an opportunity to create a brand like a First Friday
Yeah.
or like something like that to be able to anchor then what was coming through. You know, that was the vision of Luminaria.
Yeah.
You know, Mayor Hardberger, when he created it with a lot of the original selection committee, they wanted to create something that identified San Antonio as an arts and culture
Yes.
town.
Amazing.
And so many years it's been going strong. And thank you again to a lot of the past executive directors,
Yes.
Kathy Armstrong, and a lot of the people that were instrumental in keeping it
And even the
keeping it
sponsors.
alive.
I mean, they
The
have a lot of great sponsors.
Well, the
on
city of
board.
San Antonio has always been behind
Yeah.
it. So to identify that as a place where people can push the boundaries of their expression. So that's kind of what I wanted to do with Tolteca. Is I
Yeah.
wanted to create a space then
Yeah.
where the creatives of the future could have a place to
Yeah.
start off.
I love that.
And then if I can connect it to the gap between the students that want to, that have the ganas,
Yeah.
but don't necessarily have the way to do it,
Yeah.
and I can put them in that space, now we're connecting the
Yes.
knots. And if I can make that successful, then I will have done my job, I believe.
Yes.
And then I can send these graduates out into the real world, you know, and they can compete and have a leg up.
Hi, how are you? Y'all can have a seat. We have a special guest in the house. Here, fine, have a seat. Yes, and all of that again is truly inspiring, and I think this should just always be a continuation. So again, this is your home, you know, familia. Brandy's in the house, the lovely Brandy Lopez. Woohoo! And you know, this is a place, a hub for you to continue to share. You have so much insight. You have a lot of great knowledge of all the great things that you've experienced, you know, here in San
Many
Antonio.
layers, many layers.
So I think just a continuation. People love to hear your stories. I mean, we have a lot of people saying, "Say hi to Jesse for me. Say hi to Jesse for me" on Facebook Live. So we're going to continue to show that love to you and you know the communities of San Antonio. But thank you so much for sharing that knowledge and sharing about Luminaria. I know that was the main message for today. So what is your main message to our listeners, to our viewers out there in San Antonio?
Stay true to your community. Stay, protect your community in so many ways. If you're a healer, heal your community. If you're a singer and a dancer, express your community, your comunidad.
Yeah.
If you're a maestro, a maestra, a writer, a poeta, tell those stories. You know, tell the stories of nuestra cultura, of nuestra comunidad, and share it. You know,
Yes.
we talk a lot about sharing. We look at all the TikToks and the videos and the Twitters and all that.
Yeah.
But a lot of what's being shared is just stuff.
Yeah.
It's noise.
Yeah.
¿Verdad? While it's emotionally loaded because we're emotional beings, right? So I get that part of it. But I think human society relies way too much on its emotion and not on its compassion.
Yeah.
Pero arte es vida.
Yes. Yes,
So
it is.
arte teaches you, what it does is it gives you a safe place to find your compassion.
Yes, I agree.
To find that connection to creator, you know. And it's all around us.
And I'm surrounded.
And
I'm
so that's
surrounded.
one of the reasons why, people go, well, you don't really paint, so, why do you support, why do you curate, why do you support? And I go, well, not only have I played artists in almost all of my films, right? New York Stories was my first, after Fame, was my first feature film.
Yeah.
I got to be directed by Martin Scorsese.
Wow.
Martin Scorsese was my first director.
Wow.
Incredible. So talk
Yes.
about art, seeing
Yes.
art in front of you, seeing a master in front of you working, right? But I played an artist, And so I was representing already what I believe in,
Yes.
the idea, and I've lived my life as an artist. I could have been a painter if I'd have had any talent.
Yeah. Woo. And that's why we also have the Artist Expressions magazine, and we are going to have you in it. He is so busy. His schedule is so amazingly busy, and he's got all these amazing things going on, but he's also going to be a part of our Artist Expressions magazine. We have two magazines right now,
Nice.
the Inspiration for Life magazine and the Artist Expressions magazine.
And we can talk a lot about Adan in that one because,
Yes.
Adan was So we had such a great relationship after the film. We talked so much about how the movie and the art in it was going to create and change the perception of Chicano art. Didn't necessarily happen that way, but in a cult status, not only because Adan himself, beyond the Blood in Blood, the art that he did for the film, which is, he did over 30 to 50 pieces just for the film itself. And it almost killed him because he had to do it within a deadline.
Deadlines. Yeah.
But in some of those pieces, like I tell you, we're actually going to have one of the relics there. We're going to have the death of Juanito at Luminaria, and we're going to do an homage to Adan. So you'll see some of his other paintings there. But the Met has a couple of his pieces in New York. So the Smithsonian wants to do a show where they're included. Cheech Marin has a lot of his pieces for his Chicano Vision show, and they're in his book, Chicano Now. So there's a lot of Adan's work that's out there in the collection world. There's this incredible exhibit that's at SAMA right now called 40 Years, 40 Stories. If you get a chance, go see it. The curators have done such a great job because it represents 40 years of SAMA. So they've got stuff there from 6,000, 7,000 years ago. And then they've got these incredible pieces of period. And then they have a couple of contemporary pieces represented by Blood In, Blood Out, Adan Hernandez's painting of Juanito.
Wow.
That's part of the Sama Latino collection. And they trotted it out for this 40 years, 40 stories. So, our cultura is even represented in SAMA's representation, San Antonio Museum of Art's representation of their 40 years, 40 stories. So if you get a chance, it's up until January. Go see 40 years, 40 stories at San Antonio Museum of Art. It's a beautiful exhibit, but again, the fact that we're represented there. And I even made the liner notes of I even made the liner notes played by Jesse Borrego, San Antonio. I go, wow, I even made the liner. But again, despite that connection, the fact that Adan's piece is there. But if you look at Adan's work, it's kind of like that. So we can talk about that in that art expression. And I'm pretty sure, the artists like Adan, Jesse Trevino, Mel Casas, Cesar Martinez, those artists have inspired people like Blas. George Yepes from the California crew, those Chicano artists, those people that have represented as Chicano artists in their work, I think have inspired and continued the new breed. So it's wonderful to be able to share that in San Antonio, which I tell people, I go, no, you don't understand what an art town San Antonio is.
And I am just honored to be a part of it, and so thankful that you were able to come in today. And I can see that this is going to be a continuation of doing so many shows with you, Jesse.
We got to keep it going.
Again, he has so much knowledge and inspiration that we do look forward to bringing him back on and continue to share upcoming events that you're doing, and you have a lot of great things in the works. So we're going to keep bringing him on to share that with you all. And anything else you'd like to share to our listeners and our viewers?
Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting Inspiration for Life, definitely. Come visit her at the shop here in Southtown, in the middle Southtown at 716 South Alamo Street. Come to Luminaria this weekend, right? Por favor, come support the artists. Thank you to the selection committee. Again, I was honorary chair, but I didn't do anything. It was all them. So
you're an inspiration.
And then La Música, right? Keep supporting the music. Roger Velázquez, Amor del Otro Lado, nominated, and he's a Latin Grammy winner last year. So support V.D. Scos and all of the work that Roger's been doing. He's got some great, incredible collaboration artists that he collaborates with, including myself.
And I'll get that link from you.
But I think Destiny Navaira does some collaborations with him. So, beautiful family. We miss Emilio so much. But the Navaira familia, again, la conexión to la música, Mr. Navaira was an old musician friend of my dad's, so la conexión is there. And I try to constantly keep that going and connect to that, And if I can keep doing that, so whenever you support my stuff, that you're supporting something that comes from La Raza, that comes from here. Like I said, the work that I do with AIT is so important as a board member. So whenever the Coahuiltecan Nation, Tapilam, whenever they do stuff, please try to get there early for the blessing, right? Because we'll be doing a beautiful blessing of the land, the Yanaguana rivers, to start off the Luminarias Festival, right? And then look forward for any of the stuff I do. I'll be working with my brother James Borrego, who's the new film teacher at SAC. Okay. So I'll be doing a lot with their students, hopefully. And I love what Dr. Robert Vela is doing out there and what the RTF masters are doing out there, reinvigorating that program. You know, they have KSYM, they have, you know, the radio program is very strong. And so we hope to be able to support that in some way. So I'll probably be the Matthew McConaughey of the SAC RTF program, like he's with the UT film program up there. Yes. Should I run for governor?
Yes,
I would not. We got too many skeletons in the Gino's wife closet. Right
I know.
We don't want to catch you.
Everybody's got skeletons.
We don't want that. But my muertos only come out on Dia de los Muertos and dance around. They're nice and colorful, and then they go back in the closet.
It's all good.
Quédense en el closet.
Yes, it's all good.
But you know, part of that is be proud of who you are. You know, no matter what. You know, a lot of our young people are going through some heavy times. You know, they're going through identity and gender crises, and we need to support that. You know, we need to be supportive as families. Yeah. If you want to catch a beautiful film that I did with Benjamin Bratt. So after Blood In, Blood Out, I met his brother, Peter Bratt. So Peter Bratt is an incredible filmmaker, director, writer. He directed the documentary about Dolores Huerta, Dolores. So look for Dolores. But he also did these series of films with me and Benjamin. Yeah. And the first one was Follow Me Home. Okay. So that's going to be re-released in the streaming world. So go to followmehomethemovie.com, and you can watch the trailer. But after that, we did La Misión. And in La Misión, you know, Benjamin as a father... A Chicano father of a gay son has to deal with his son's issues. And there's nothing wrong with the son. He's going to UCLA. He's a single dad, and he's taught him about low riding and all that. So he's this beautiful Chicano son, right? When you look at the storyline and what Peter was trying to say, he was trying to say everything that now has become the Latinx movement, right? And the fact that we have to support the growth of our familias and the comunidad, and infuse them with the traditions, but remembering that they are going to take them on and reinvigorate them for themselves. And that's necessary to keep our culture alive. So I celebrate that. As an older artist, I celebrate that. And I say, yes, la cultura cura, be true to yourself and honor your culture and your family, and you'll never go wrong in your expression. So,
wow. There you go. There you go. Jesse Borrego, everyone. Jesse Borrego.
Woo!
And we're going to get pretty much all those links and everything that you talked about. I'm going to get with you, and we're going to share them. You know, all the boards that you're serving on, all the different films that you've, been. We're going to put them on so people can get out there and follow you, follow the film, follow the boards, because it's important. With Inspiration for Life, we're here to share everything that everybody's doing.
Great.
And again, here in our studios, we have a collaboration of 10 or more vendors that we're supporting their businesses, the artists.
Come to the store, man. You're really going to find something you like.
Yeah, so
this is Christmas shopping right
here. It's amazing. So a little bit of everything. So we're here. The beauty and unity is our hashtag, and it's all about collaborating and partnering with people and making things just truly amazing and inspiring. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. For more information, you can go to www.inspirationforlife.org. You're going to, if you need to message me, just click on the contact. But we're going to put all the information here on the podcast. Let's see. Thank you, Jesse. Wrong last name, but it's okay. We'll correct that. It's Borrego, for your thoughts and passion, beauty and unity. Yes. So we got somebody on Inspiration for Life website right now. But we're going to put all this information on there. If you have any questions, just put the information here on. Let's see. I got it. Okay. Yeah, we don't want all these pop-ups they're putting on.
And if you have any kids that are, coming out of high school and they want to, learn how to express themselves in this new digital way, Tell them to go to James Borrego at
Yes.
San Antonio College. You know,
Yes.
one of the things we're trying to do at Cena Studio San Antonio is, bridge that gap, that
Yes,
financial
I
gap. So
hear
we're going to
you,
create
yes.
scholarships. We're going to create ways for them to be able to get to college without going into debt.
Sounds
It's
wonderful.
it's an uphill battle, but I think we can get there.
I agree with you.
With the help of the community.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Inspiration for Life Radio Network and Live on Air with Rita. This is Rita Hernandez. Get inspired, be inspired, stay inspired. Bye.